Alright, what's going on, y'all? This is Max Sev here, and recently, after winning CEO Taku 2022 for JoJo's All-Star Battle R, uh, performing well and the 5v5 Battle of the Coasts on Parsec, and winning the first Open the Game, I created my own tier list for the game. There were some issues some people took with a few of the placements. And I'm not really here to talk about the issues with the placements, but I do notice on the regular some people questioning about certain placements, and so I'm just making this video to discuss some of the placements and clear up any confusion. Now before now to preface this, sorry. I just want to let everyone know this tier list, the only tiers that are ordered in my opinion, are S, A, D, and E. Those are I think B and C are completely unordered. In fact, I think D may even be unordered as well. There are some things, like, it's kind of hard for me to gauge character strength within the tiers, unless if it's the absolute extremes on either the strong or weak end. Now, starting off with S tier, you know him, you hate him, we all hate him. Narancia, I think most people can agree, is the best character in the game. With a lack of any genuine weakness to his name besides needing meter to start his really high damage, and I'll let you know, meter positive combos, it's not hard for him to build meter either, because, as I just mentioned, they're meter positive, like obscenely meter positive, and he generally only needs like half a bar to output better damage than most characters. His zoning is good. His offense is generally good due to a large amount of safe, abusable pokes. And the fact that a lot of his pokes and stand on aren't even physical hits, they're just short range projectiles, makes him the god of like counter poking and poking. I think if there is a character to get nerfed, it's going to be him. Oh, and I almost forgot. He is a one of a kind character with a flash cancelable DP. A thing that was generally removed in this game was being able to do flash cancels or PCs, as some people call them, on your DPs if they're whiffed or blocked. But for some reason, Narancia stayed, allowing him to be really ignorant with it. But everyone's probably said this a million times. This character is undebatably, like, if you don't think he's top one, you think he's at least top three. Now, top two, this is a one a lot of people take issue with. It's Kakuin. I do know Kakuin is, he's my main. I do play I have performed really well with him. A lot of people take issue with Kakuin being top two by saying it's mostly a matchup thing or like matchup unfamiliarity, but I don't think it's just that. While it is true, it is a pretty unfamiliar matchup. His strengths are obscenely overbearing. His zoning alone forces a lot of the cast into borderline unusable levels of hopelessness. A lot of characters just cannot answer the basic act of well-timed 5Ms, 2Ms, JHs, and the god of all projectiles, Emerald Splash. And that's not even accounting like the good half-screen mix between 2M and dash jump JH, which either way, if it's blocked, it's safe, or just leads into more offense. His damage is great with new optimizations, such as the 2 and 4 and the 5L links. Great wall carry, very strong reversal in HHA. If he had a weakness I could pin down, it's probably that his mobility isn't the greatest. The really floaty jump does suck, but it's the most pretend weakness you could give a character. Now, third. Also, I'm not gonna go as in detail with every character. It's just the top tiers. I feel like need like their own longer in like sections talking about them. Prosciutto and Pesci, the other character I play. These two initially seemed top one in a lot of people's eyes, and I still thought he was. I thought he was top one for the longest time. But when you do play a bad matchup for him, you really feel it. His damage, pressure, uh, aging mechanic, like they're all great, but his neutral is some of the most. It's probably the most honest out of the top five. I'd say probably in the entire top 10, besides maybe Vanilla Ice. But Prosciutto and Pesci, they are absolute monsters once they get in, or if they have a life lead on a character without a projectile, because Pesci trap and standing on it, what is most of the cast going to do to answer that? Cars, next. Cars, to me, is when you take two A tier characters and you combine them together. Regular Cars, I do argue, is better. I think regular Cars is a lot stronger, but Ulf still has a lot of good potential. Ulf is great for people who haven't done their research and don't know most of the stuff that Ulf can do. And Ulf zoning can really deny a lot of players who don't know what they're doing, or if they're just playing a character weak to strong zoning. And on top of this, you don't even need it. Regular Cars has mode, making him very safe by adding those extra hits to his Saber normals. And on top of this, Regular Cars has very consistent 3 touches, can null zoning with his teleports, will always put you next to the wall for all of his combos thanks to wall kick. He's just all around a great character. I'd say his main thing is that he's probably the most vanilla out of the top 5 in the sense that his strengths aren't overbearing, but he has probably the widest amount of alright strengths and probably the less, oh my god, what am I supposed to do type strengths. And his weaknesses are probably some of the more tame out of the top 5, I'd say, compared to top 3 to 5. His weaknesses are what, like lower than average health, and I guess, yeah, I can't really think of anything else. Maybe you like lose a reversal when you get old. Diablo, Mr. like top 1 to 2 from vanilla. We all thought he was gone going into R, and he just pulled the psych, I'm still here. This character he's got good damage. 2 and 4L is a unreactable overhead. Like, just basic staggers of 2L and mixing in 2 and 4Ls, like, you're going to get hit. No one is reacting to 2 and 4L. It's a prediction. Epitaph is great for skipping neutral. His damage output is great, but he generally isn't super meter positive a lot of the time for his best routes compared to everyone else in top 5. And he's he's probably like the most meter reliant for his damage out of the top 5. Also, my bad for that being, that was on me, wasn't one of you. But yeah, I'd say that about covers it for the top 5. I'd say like my general rundown for each tier is like S tiers. Like, these are like the meta-defining characters. Like they're the matchups you gotta be like the most studying about. Like they're going to be some of the most difficult matchups typically for your character if you aren't playing someone in there. Like they're the ones you gotta look out for the most. A tier is A tier is generally like they're strong as S tier characters when it comes to their pure strengths in a vacuum, but then they'll have like one or two weaknesses that really holds them back. B tier are like just the all around mid tiers. They don't have much in the way of overbearing strengths, or maybe they have some weaknesses backing up their to prevent them from being too strong. C tier is when you get to like you're gonna be working for these characters. Then I'd say D tier. These are like you're getting into like low tier hell type shit where you're gonna be you're gonna be putting in more work than everyone else, but you can still come out on top with these characters with either lucky breaks or just strong fundamentals. And then E tier is like, why did you pick them type stuff. I think the bottom four in E tier are you're not playing them type characters. Like, if you pick them, don't really expect to win unless if they just don't know what the opponent doesn't know what they're doing. I'd say after that, moving on to A tier, Bucharati, very, very all-rounder character. He doesn't have an on-paper weakness besides his damage isn't as great as some of the characters around him, but zipper kick 50-50 is still in the game. You're not blocking it. It's great. His offense is good. He's got strong mid-range pokes. He commands neutral well. His zipper teleport is a lot better now for moving around. He's just in general a very solid character. And then on top of that, you have Revive, something that I'm pretty sure everyone got tired of watching after a while. Like people really do not like watching that fucking Revive animation playing. He gets back up and then you end up losing. Like very strong, very annoying character. The bird, no one, no one wanted to see this bird back, and no one wanted to see him end up being this strong again. Like his offense is great. 2-1-4 enforces some of the hardest to block sequences in the game, or even just unblockable pressure. His air mobility is amazing. He's very hard to touch when you play him properly. Elon was going absolutely insane in CEO Taku 2022 Grand Finals. He was doing a great job weaving around my zoning, and just the fact that it's hard to get in on Pet Shop. It's hard to like lock him down. And on top of this, you can't block him. His damage is not high, but it's consistently like above average. Very, very annoying character. I'd say him and Bucharati, I'd say are like probably the scariest out of A tier. Like, I mean, it's obvious because I ranked them here, but definitely look out for this bird. Whole horse, probably the most knowledge check of all knowledge checks, who ends up being really good even once you learn past them. His pressure is good if you know the S bullet patterns. Madpog's pressure with the 2H S bullet and the spinning around the bullet leads to like safe pressure reset frame traps that lead back into more offense. And if you attempt the mash on them, you just get clipped and his offense keeps going. it's very hard to deal with him. And then even if he's not pressuring you, his zoning is almost Kakuin levels when it comes to just purely the projectile. Like, he obviously doesn't have the Kak pokes, but his unique patterns make him very hard to get in on. S-Bull is arguably one of the best anti-airs in the game. Just shooting one up and moving it up. It's very, very frustrating moving in and around Whole Horse. And then even when you do get in, you gotta watch out for that damn puddle that they, for some reason, didn't make go away when he gets hit. Getting hit by J-Gal while you're trying to combo him is gotta be one of the most infuriating things in the game. Vanilla Ice, not much I need to say. You just do a basic combo, you OTG with Ball a bunch, doesn't scale. You can then cheese with unblockables if you're running the assist, like large lockdown assists. His damage output is just obscenely high. Like, there's not much to this character other than his damage is insane. Polarif is probably the biggest character I'm scared about. Like, the more I lab this character, the more I fight him, the more I think about him, the more I realize there's not much in a way of a big weakness tied to his name, at least from what I'm seeing, other than we just need someone to get consistent at his combos. His optimal stuff is pretty difficult to do consistently, especially with the lack of rollback. ASBR rollback, please, Namco, if you're watching this, or CC2, whoever. And on top of this, if someone could get good at doing like the optimal install stuff, like the install allows for unblockables with the late after images hitting overhead, and then you can do lows. Like, we just need someone to unlock pull. In this entire top 5, like the top 5 in A tier, from Bucharati to pull, I'd say are the characters in A tier. There are like, I debated making an A plus tier, because those 5 are probably the, like, they're galaxies stronger than everyone else in A tier. But I refrained because I didn't want to make too many tiers. Gacho, very strong vortex monster. It's hard. He does have some issues in neutral, and his maximum damage is pretty low. But it's the fact that flip mix, command grab, like pressure resets with 236M, the inherent mix-up between 3H and 6M, like, he's very hard not to get hit by. And when all this leads back into like his consistently solid like 250, 300 damage type combos, he's going to be kind of like, he needs to get a few touches, but the touches aren't hard to get, is what I'm going at. Anasui, just great damage, good set play, good strike throw with the command grabs. Like, I've seen some really solid setups with this character. I think he is all around just good. His reversal options do kind of suck though still. The amount of times I know I've messed up a pressure sequence on an Anasui, they GHA me and it works, like, I don't get hit, they lose the interaction, is way too high. That character is kind of suffering when it comes to defense, but all around, pretty good. The Kiras I put next to each other because they're more or less the same character, but they trade one thing for another. They both do high damage. Kosaku does a bit more, but Kira has better set play with the coin, while Kosaku has the bubbles for neutral and for shredding guard bars. But Yoshikage does good. he does good damage to guard bars as well. They're very similar characters. Both, I'd say they're both good for new players to pick up and grow into. They teach you core fundamentals well, on top of just being all around good characters. And having a bomb plant on you is still one of the scariest things in this game because it makes you forgetting about it and jumping and them detonating it into like almost like a 400 damage combo if they got the reactions to pick up a combo off of it. Jitteru, probably just a very all around, just gorilla rushdown, good pressure, damage is solid. His pressure, like, he's just a good all around beginner, like, just go wild type character. There's still time stop setups. Same with him, Dio, and Jotaro Part 4. They have like time stop resets. Jotaro and Dio's are both like absolutely insane. Like I've seen near TOD sequences off the resets. They're like Jotaro is still like he's still not in his glory days of vanilla, but he's still got JM. That button is still an obscene war crime, but still all around good. Dio, Part 3, or just Dio, more or less kind of similar to Jotaro. They both got like good buttons, good, like hard to escape pressure, but now Dio has the threat of an instant overhead with TK stand rush. The stand at my full power type move. It makes any sequence where you're blocking with him super scary and you want to jump or like jump away or constantly be stand blocking, but then like good staggers with 2L are gonna blow that up and he's just all around like really annoying to block. Probably like one of the most annoying characters to be put in a block string by. Avdol. Avdol up next. Just good neutral. He's hard to get in on when he's got a life lead. Stuff like flame sensor, crossfires. His damage output is consistently solid with good like meter dump potential. And on top of this, like the variation of Oki is solid. If there's he's just probably the most honest of A tier. His like he doesn't really do anything overwhelmingly good. He's just kind of solid at everything he does. And he also crumbles to zone like strong zoning, much like the Kira's, Jotaro, uh, Anasui, like that type deal. But someone who doesn't crumble the zoning, funny. If you can get 3 corpse parts, I mean, you for one invalidate most zoners. You become obscenely hard to stop. On top of this, the teleport proves to be like a strong knowledge check to players who don't know how to anti-air or like prep an attack around it. His flag loops are strong. The gunshot buff was nice. The move where he kind of shoots a Valentine that does a dive kick out is good. It makes for just annoying. He's another like annoying to be blocking against character. Where just blocking like the overhead kicks and basic staggers from him. And on top of that, like he doesn't need it as well, but it's the threat of him getting 3 corpse parts is there. And nothing compares to the amount of levels of frustration as when you get to round 3 and he does the I'll replace myself with another copy of me move where he just fully heals himself during the last few seconds of the round and you know there is not enough time to make a comeback. happened to me at least twice now. It's very like it makes it so you stress about him getting corpse parts way more than you probably should. I mean, you should be worried about it because it's gonna make him hard to deal with, like hard to kill. And then like you start playing worse around that. You start playing worse dealing with the corpse parts. Plus, he has great ways at avoiding Oki by being able to do the teleport while knocked down at the cost of some meter. Like I think he's a very underrated character. I don't see many people on him, but the people on him are absolute monsters on the character. Bao, my old homie, Bao. Not as fun. I'm still sad, no SJRCs. I'm still holding that L that they were gone after labbing them. SJRCs aside though, his damage output is good, his rushdown is good. He is a little assist reliant for stuff like combos, but he still can nuke people with his good damage. Great DP now. The fast startup on 63 M and H is amazing, and the faster recovery on the S buff, or at least I swear it's faster now, means you can oftentimes just go for it and just have an armored special at the ready. It's it comes into play way more often than it did in vanilla. And the multi-hit needles means in some zoner matchups, he can generally keep up with them, or at least pester them as well, because the needles themselves do a lot of damage with the added on burn damage. He's probably like, he feels very Shoto-like now, but same weakness as always. He can get really crippled by like the strong zoners like Kak or Hole. His his health is still obscenely low. Lack of rumble modes really sucks with his unique comeback mechanic of regenning health. Not being a very good substitute. It really stinks not having that still. But I still think he is a overall solid character. Although CC2, could you please bring back SJRCs? Aside, the last character at A tier, Foo Fighters. I think this is very early on. I hated fighting this character. My hate for playing against this character has dwindled, but I still find her annoying. That emergency evade, like the 1 or 3H, that lets her avoid Oki and frame traps, like no character should have that. Like I don't care. Make 63 a DP. Just remove emergency evade having like instant invuln. I think that is obscenely annoying to deal with. And don't tell me you can grab it. That has a hitbox and it's really annoying to try to grab it because you most of the time get hit by it. Uh, I think the like her issues though is like strong zoning. Like a lot of characters will get filtered out by the Cak Narantia hole. Like those three, they can zone out a lot of characters really well. And I feel like if you're good at zoning, Fu gets obscenely gutted by like especially Cak. Like I like Emerald Splashes, the TK bullets don't really help you much because you're overall losing the interaction. You're getting hit. Like you might hit him with like 1 or 2 of the bullets. Also, HHA and GHA, or her GHA is great, does a lot of damage. Her HHA, terrible. Like actually unusable. Like you're spending a bar to get a very negligible amount of health back. and you really need to save that meter for other things, mainly her GHA, and her execution can make stuff really inconsistent. For like, you need the tight links for extra damage, and you need to adjust a lot of stuff based on stand on or off, or cars with his janky as always hurtbox. But that side, I think she is very, very strong. Now moving on to the B tier, Fugo. Fugo was one of the biggest glow ups alongside Kosaku and Kak. Fugo was so terrible, or just not fun to play in vanilla. At least in my opinion. I never really saw much of people gassing him up, but his giving him that command grab, the shoulder being better in pressure, it's all around just like he's doing amazing. And then on top of that, Purplay's Distortion is still a life bar shredder. But once again, filtered out by the zoners. Filtered out by the zoners is one of the worst things you could have in this game, and Fugo is no different. I can skip over a lot of these characters in B tier. Young Sif, just a solid jack of all trades. Hermes, she's pretty unga when she got stickers. She just always wins clashes. Everything she does is safe. Good damage with stuff like the broom loops. Brando is still Dio Brando. Just good, good, easy to pick up rush down. Deals a lot of health with every combo or steals meter. This is overall really great. Wamu probably has some of the best like surprise good matchups with stuff like wind mode, just knowing projectiles, or eye gouge, or the horn mode, whatever people want to call it. Giving stuff like making his overhead safe, and then the occasionally useful guard breaking drill lets you just shred guard bars for free. And on top of this, like Wamu is just like when he's got wind mode, you can't see the fucking constant mix-ups with the overhead or like what side he's gonna be on, like crosslip or not. Josuke, Part 4, Josuke. Starwin was showing absolute wonders with this character. His damage output is obscene with assists, but he's still generally, the main reason I don't have him ranked as high as other people is just the fact that I think having high damage off of assists is kind of a general thing. I might move him up in a later revision of the tier list, but as for now, I still feel like most characters do obscene damage with assists. Like most characters on like B tier, like B tier and above. But I feel like in due time, Josuke may move up into A tier. Now Josuke Part 8 or Gappy, good set play, but his good set play and his damage is alright for how meter efficient he is, but his up front mix without set play could leave a lot to be desired. Like no grounded overhead really bites. He has to rely a lot on strike throw, and relying on strike throw in this game is one of the most miserable feelings in the world because you're always going to get caught with people who love to jump away. I myself included too. I am the up back JH monster. I will never hold strike throw. But if he had better up front mix, I feel like Gappy would easily be A tier. Okiyasu, not super high damage on Okiyasu, which is a little weird from the guy who has the hand, but his pressure's good, hard to escape. He deals with stylish dodge really well with the new discovery that he can jump cancel the recovery frames of 2 through 6H. You can make anything stylish dodge and a 2 through 6H into a jump cancel. The hand swipe makes for a decent, although risky, answer to getting in. Or you can do stuff like the feints or holds to catch people off guard. And if you have to approach him, 214L is still one of the biggest walls in the game. The anti-airs, and they made it even faster with less recovery. Definitely still, definitely still an all-around strong character. Poochie, Whitesnake only for time. We aren't quite at the time where he has Seymour Made in Heaven, but Whitesnake Poochie, he more or less just feels like vanilla Poochie, but now he has a GH. Now he has like a really strong, like I might say, GHA and a new command grab. I think he's good, but his damage is severely lacking. He needs he needs to get a disc for any good damage in the sense that once you have their disc, they're gonna start walking into your stuff, which he needs to rely on for his damage output. He's he's truly like a death by 1,000 cuts character. But if you could get their disc, it's one of the strongest win conditions in the game. No player can deal with having their disc taken. They're always gonna start panicking, and they're gonna get themselves fucked in the process. They're gonna get absolutely bodied trying to get it back. And if they start playing really sloppy, you can hit with that counter GHA that does a very clean 700 plus damage with 3 bars. Definitely an all-around solid character. Mista, we just need someone who can do his stuff consistently. I think if there could be a player to get consistent at his combos, Mista could move up to A tier. But all we have is I can't remember the name. I can't remember his name, but he made this video called Mista Gaming, where he kind of went over a guide. If anyone could remind me of that guy's name, he made an amazing guide on Mista, and he's been doing absolutely amazing discoveries for this character, he's generally made the character look all around just amazing when it comes to combos. We just need some, in training mode, I might add. We just need someone to do that stuff consistently in a match. He's probably like the most unorthodox, or not the most unorthodox, but he's very unorthodox, and we just need someone to get consistent at his stuff. Part 4 Jotaro, or Fortaro. Not much I can say. He's just got like some gorilla buttons from Jotaro, but now he has a projectile and teleport. He's very honest feeling. The teleport is great, but it has more recovery than stuff like the Cars teleport and Okiyasu teleports. Or at least from how it feels. Plus his costs meter for some reason. I mean, I guess it's instant, so it should, like, it's supposed to balance it out. But I still think he's spending too much. Also, like, he needs a wall for like his really good damage into Oki, from what I've seen. Someone could prove me wrong, because he's a very underplayed character for now. Will, Will is, Will and Jonathan are more or less kind of the same to me. They're probably some of the most normal man characters to me. They don't do anything outstandingly well, but then they have like some weaknesses that they shouldn't have as an all-rounder. Like their pressure feels very stiff. Also, Jonathan's DP no longer having like his DP not having proper invuln without EX Like I've seen Jonathans get hit out of HDP, which they shouldn't. The revive is great though, but I feel like that is just Jonathan's win condition now. He needs to go for the revive. But moving back a little, Jolene, still death by 1,000 cuts. It feels like her damage has gotten even more low. Like, sure, she's got the good taunt combos, but you can only do that once a game now. And then her mix is a lot better because you can't mash down back, but now you can mash down light rotate on it. It obviously can be baited, but he needs too many touches in a game that's as volatile as the top 5 and the A tiers make it. Speedwagon, not many people play him, but he is. The goons force really awkward trades when you do stuff like cancel into them right as you get hit, making him like really hard to pressure, like go on offense against sometimes. His damage output is workable with good wall carry. His pressure is nice because he has a safe ender with hat toss. He's definitely he feels really honest though, much like Jonathan and Zappelli. Caesar, another very honest feeling character, except he has a lot better set play. His DP is a lot better. He needs a lot of meter to output decent damage though. His damage feels very meter hungry. He chews through it because he has to do stuff like DPPC to go into the bubble loops. But he's still got the DP Hamon kick. Great mid range, like he can be hard to get in on if you don't have an easy answer, like like I do, like throwing emerald splashes. And he can be annoying sometimes when when you get the bubble lens Oki going. He can feel really obnoxious, but he's definitely much like Jonathan and Will, very on the honest end. Now the C tiers. Gyro has good potential, but I feel like he needs corpse parts to be good. He needs at least one to get probably his one of his best moves, scan, like which is a strong anti-zoning option. And then he needs 3 to get his like consistently good win condition with gold spin or golden rotation. I just like the gyros I fought generally, like they just cannot get their corpse parts as long as you're just always like actively denying him. The gyro's life will be hell. They're gonna struggle to get anything going with their corpse parts. Koichi, another honest feeling character. Not really much to him. His JH is good. 3 freeze is better now because it disables stylish dodge. He's just all around like I'd say he's like probably the most inoffensive character in C tier. Akira, what a fall from grace. This character needs to maintain charge. And ASB to me has been a very snowball heavy game. Like you ride off matches by being able to get a consistent knockdown and continue your offense off that. Akira has to constantly take breaks to refill that charge meter. And without charge, he is absolutely unplayable. But even with charge, he's not all that potent. outside of like a kind of annoying move with Whack-A-Mole Champion. But his damage output, like, if you crouch against an Akira and Spitfire whiffs, that's how you make Akira players cry. You just start crouching a lot. Spitfire's gonna whiff. Unless they do quick stand on stuff, his damage output will be heavily gutted. Trish, very basic, like below average feeling rushdown. Like, she doesn't really have any grime besides like strong meter dump, but that's something most characters have. And then on top of that, her damage, it's not even that impressive with the meter dump because it's a lot lower than other characters' meter dumps. I'd say probably her best strength is the push block, which I forgot to mention with Gyacho. They have push blocks that can be comboed off of with PC, which can technically enforce like basically unwinnable situations if you're just waiting for them to come to you, make you block, and then you combo off of it and kill. But it's not enough. Like, she needs more than just that to be a character in my eyes. And Giorno, man, how the mighty have fallen, but I do not care. I hated Requiem. A Giorno, if you know you're gonna fight a Giorno in bracket, pick Mista or Part 4 Jotaro assist. As soon as you see him go for Requiem, call them in after you stand up. When you get stunned by his HHA, you call them in, they shoot their projectiles, you just made him waste 3 bars. And Giorno by himself is largely unimpressive. He's got a few decent links with stuff like stay on 5H and the 5L, but it's not enough to really save him. His DP, I guess, is alright. Tree is alright. Like, he's playing with a lot of honest moves, and Requiem itself is still strong. It's just, how are you gonna get there when anyone can just know you're gonna play Giorno, pick Part 4 Jotaro or Mista, and now you just can't get your strongest part of your character. Absolutely, like, this was such an unexpected fall from grace from this character. Now move on to D tier. Shigechi, this, everyone's hero. Y'all earned it. Yeah, everyone was begging me to play him, which sometime in the future, not gonna say when, I will pick Shigechi again. But this character, he's probably has like good potential to move somewhere here, but he just, much like Akira, he has to take breaks in a very momentum heavy game to restock harvests and then be able to push back his offense with harvest pressure and Oki. His damage is massively better with stuff like double GHA or double HHA, not double GHA, or in the taunt combos after a GHA. Like, his damage output can be obscene, but a lot of it is susceptible to a well-timed breaker. If you time your breakers well on this character, you can make any Shigechi cry by breaking after they've spent all their harvests, and now you just rush him down before he can get them back. That's how you gut this character. Top of that too, his buttons still suck. His neutral is largely unimpressive. He just needs momentum up, but he struggles to maintain it at times. I'd say give him good neutral or better ways to summon harvest, he would easily be somewhere around here. ACDC, I tried so hard to make this character work. He's probably in my top 4 or 5 for most played characters in R, just because I was trying to find anything with this character. He does have insane meter dump potential, much like, basically another character with assists. they're like probably the most rewarding. He has something like 1100 damage combos, but his issue is that he needs to be in mode for good damage, but mode makes it really hard. Like, it's hard to get mode and then make good use of it, because it's very easy for you to make mistakes in mode, because his pressure is arguably even worse in mode and more unsafe. And then once you make a mistake, you get knocked down. Now you're down a bar and mode. You just become very crippled again, and his damage is not great without it. It's alright. He's also low health now for some reason. Well, I feel like he was not deserving of going down to 800 health compared to some other characters. The cry counter is still bad. His supers are largely unimpressive besides the healing HHA. Yeah, so that's about it for I'd say that's about it for ACDC. Yukako. Very, like, she was designed to be a poke heavy character. I'm not that scared of her pokes compared to someone like Kakuin, where his pokes are leading into better reward, while Yukako has to spend, like, she has to spend resources for not as scary reward as Kakuin. And on top of that, her pressure isn't the greatest. She can still get filtered out by zoners, like a lot of characters. Even with stuff like the grapple, they move in predictable angles. You just need to play around it existing. It is nice having a revive, much like Bucharati. Love Deluxe mode doesn't feel very useful. Like, I haven't seen, like, I've fought a handful of Yukakos. I've seen none of them use stand on with the Love Deluxe buff. If anyone can implore me on how that's useful, I'd love to know, because half the time I know, like, I feel like I do know and don't know with this character at the same time. If that makes sense. Johnny. This character got so gutted by new system mechanics. Breakers knocking you off horse is so close to making this character unviable, but at least now he has his DP in all acts, and you just have to react to them calling an assist and do a DP in your combo. Speaking of combos, his combo damage is a lot worse due to a lack of easy access to horse loops and removing the Act 3 236S loops. The Act 4, or Act 4 236, Act 4 623, the Chumimin, really sucks now in neutral because you can't use it as a neutral skip because you're locked in that animation. It is good to pester people in neutral with, but if they just jump over it, you can be heavily neutered. All around, like, and obviously the biggest downside of all, he's crippled. You knock him off his horse, you just attempt to bully him as much as possible, and watch as Johnny just does not get to play the game. Rohan, it's kind of an annoying, like, he zones you out with the 214 and the safety locks, and then he does kind of a not great damage combo into stealing something. As long as you just don't get angry, this character won't really do much to you. His command grabs, like, you shouldn't be scared about the standoff one, because he doesn't really have much in the way to make you scared other than just blocking low and waiting for the grab. Because he doesn't have many things that make you, oh no, I might need to take a risk against this character. The GHA is still probably his gun. Like, not being able to attack, and I recently discovered you can't do throws, so you just can't tech his throws. That's really strong, but it's not enough to save Rohan. And then the last character before we move on to E tier, Lisa. This character, you can play like an idiot and win against this character. As long as you know the basics of her Rekka, just like the overhead is slow, you can SD it. The low, I'm pretty sure is like unsafe, or you can just, block it, because it's not like she has anything else to make you worry about. And the grab, that thing is just hysterically slow. Like if you get hit by that offline, once you know like the animation for it, you might need to see a doctor or take a reaction time test. That grab is not anything special. And also her damage output is some of the worst in the game for how meter unpositive it is. E tier, like I said earlier, these are like the bad characters. Like you pick them because you like them in series and you don't care about winning. Mariah, at least they got another thing right from Heritage. This character still sucks. Her damage output is low. If she doesn't have magnetism, you're not scared. You shouldn't ever be scared. No defensive options. She just, she has to rely on hitting you a million times. She's never going to do big damage. You can make so many mistakes against Mariah. And if you play a zoner stronger than her, which is most other zoners, and you just focus on never letting her get in to magnetize you, she will never get to have fun. Kakuin versus Mariah, borderline feels unplayable for Mariah at times. Diego, I'm probably the most sad about this character not being good out of almost the entire bottom four. Diego, he has to work so hard. I mentioned it in my post-tournament interview for Open the Game 1 that Diego, his combos, while they are meter positive and they do acceptable damage, they're so long that by the time they're meter positive, you could have already broken and left him really down on meter, which he needs for good damage. Or good in air quotes damage. His damage is not great. And his combos are not easy to do consistently either. He's probably he's just not great, and his install is a meme. If someone does that install on you, they're just messing around or trying to knowledge check you. You just block, wait for it to end, and punish the a million frame recovery animation. There's not really much else I need to say about Diego, other than please buff him. I know a lot of people who wanted to play him, myself included. I thought he was going to be sick. The opposite happened. Iggy. Everyone thought this character was going to get buffed. He ended up getting nerfed. At least he still takes chip damage from everything. When you grab him, a lot of his health turns into white health for some reason, as if I thought he could have kept his one unique positive thing about him, being able to naturally avoid grabs. But apparently that was too much for him to have. So now he has to take the grab's damage as white health. And his damage output is still terrible. It's even worse now because he's super meter heavy for it, or assist reliant for meter unpositive combos that do low damage. His offense is still easy to disrespect due to low block stun. Like, you really shouldn't be picking this character if you're trying to win. And then lastly, that leaves the man who aged like curdle milk, Old Joseph. The most nothing character I've seen in a fighting game. This character, he has an anti-air, and he has one good ground poke. That's the character. His game plan has no real win condition he's playing around. His mix is really bad because the strike throw a lot of the time you can hold up forward on or just backdash away. Like, he's not really going to be able to stop you. And then he has to spend meter or an assist to do not impressive damage. Like, he's the type of character you play. He's like Dan, where you just play Dan from Street Fighter, where you just pick him to have fun and just laugh at, or just to try to humiliate someone if they somehow lose to him. Old Sif is probably the most hopeless character, if you ask me, in this game right now. Please buff this character. He is absolutely suffering. Bring back Old Sif so we can have 2x4 hop back on this game. But yeah, in all, that was probably my general tier list for JoJo's All-Star Battle R currently. This is prior to Risotto dropping. This was done on October 18th, 2022. I was just doing this out of pure, like, to the uninitiated, to those who just wanted to know where I ranked certain characters and why. And I hope this clears up any, like, dead air people feel about, or just any, like, clears up any unclear questions people had about characters. And I do hope sometime in the future, like, I hope this upcoming balance patch dropping with Risotto can massively shake up the tier list, because I did enjoy making this, and hopefully maybe I can get some other people alongside this. This was a lot of fun to make, and long live ASBR.